in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello. Happy Tuesday afternoon. This is my After Therapy Live. I'll get to see her for 2 weeks. I'm proud of my therapist. She worked for a company, but she's going off on her own, doing her own thing. Yeah, she deserves it too. She's a good therapist. I think she'll do real well running her own practice. So I don't think she understands that I'll keep her schedule full. Oh no, it depends on what you're looking for in a therapist and whether I'd send you her way. She works a lot with PTSD, anxiety. She's definitely learning about alcoholism. That's for sure. I know it's my hour, but if I can help her become a better therapist, I'll do it. I work with therapists all the time. When I sponsor someone, if they are in therapy, I usually ask what it's for. What are you doing? Are you guys at goal setting? What are you doing? Because I'm going to implement it into the steps for them. Um, you know, it's something that I've done. It's just something I do. No, I'm not a therapist. No, I'm not a counselor anymore. I just let my credentials lapse. Not something I'm going after. Hey, Angel, good to see you. But yeah, if I can coincide the program with what they're doing in therapy, yeah, I'll do it. Seems to work out. But I also know, I've got the education for that. So, true leadership is you even in your home group, you're gonna, maybe there's somebody in the group. I'm just gonna use me as an example. My name gets brought up a lot. And am I a leader? Only in the sense that I'm not above anyone. Now, a leader doesn't mean that there are special privileges. It doesn't mean that I get all the accolades. It doesn't. No. I'm good at getting people excited about what we do. I know the program really well, and so I usually use mostly my experience. There's a professional side to me, you know. But so that's what we're going to talk about. What is true leadership in recovery? Because there's a lot of people out there trying to be leaders, but here's the thing: leadership it comes with a lot of different things. I'm going to explain it. Let's do this first. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. And I hope I caught it in time, but I had actually gone live, but it was the wrong title. So I stopped it real quick. It was like 15 seconds. So hopefully people didn't go to that and be like, oh, that's true leadership. You don't even show up. All right. I used to run it was called LARPing, live action role play. You probably saw us out in the and this was 20, 30 years ago, folks. This was before cosplay came around. In fact, everybody that cosplays is everybody that gets to geek out. You need to thank people like me. We were the people that made it cool, by the way. Do you know how much crap I had to put up with because I believe I liked superheroes and Star Wars and Star Trek and dressing up and beating each other up with boffer swords and being an elf and chasing trolls and things like. Yeah, so you're welcome. It wasn't always like that. Anyway, we Gen Xers cleared the way for a lot. So I used to run this thing called live action role play. And there were different things, but we would have events. Like once every 2-3 months, we'd have an event. And it would be a weekend thing. And let's say we have 40 people showing up. All right. Now some of these people are going to be player characters. So they're paying to play. They build their own character, they get points, they get to, pick their race, whether they want to be a wizard, fighter, cleric, anything like that. I'm just trying to keep this simple because it's getting to leadership here. All right. Now, those people I would have to create storylines for based off what they presented me. Okay. And I'd have to do it real quick. It doesn't matter. We're not getting into how good Dion was at it. I was very good at it. I wouldn't be able to do it now. I don't think the same way. I don't process as quick anymore. But what I noticed, there's something that I noticed that when I would give one of these people power in the game, maybe I made them a lord or a duke, or they'd go crazy. They would go power crazy. Yeah. Why? Because they didn't know, they'd never been in a leadership role before. So they didn't know how to handle it. See, they've been holding all this angst and this anger and for not being heard for all these years. They've been picked on, put down, never got called for dodgeball or Red Rover or kickball or any of those other things. So they didn't have any leadership skills. Now let's get to alcoholics. Gee, we're put aside, put down, put away. A lot of us didn't have friends growing up. Maybe some of us were popular, but you weren't a leader. You were a leader in the fact that other parents said, don't hang around them. That's as far as your leadership went. So I was this on the football team. I was head cheerleader. Doesn't mean you were a leader. That is not what that means. Alcoholics are the same. We do not know how to handle leadership unless we are taught. So what do we have now? Well, we have a bunch of people out there in a LARPing situation who have been given a little bit of power, a little bit of control, but they don't know how to handle it. See, I took management courses. I went and educated myself on how to be a leader. I went to, I didn't go to really that many classes because they take so long. I asked other leaders. I hung out with other leaders. Right? So now some people may already have some of these skills, and that's great. That's great, man. So maybe you did have leadership skills and you were leading. But I can guarantee you this. If we go to the part in the big book where it says the alcoholic wants to run the show, were you a leader or were you manipulating people into what you wanted? See? Even then, that's not true leadership. So let's get into this. True leadership in recovery, whether it's individual addiction recovery or a broader community or organization recovery process, embodies a set of key characteristics and actions centered around hope, integrity, accountability, and the empowerment of others. I'm a hope dealer. We're going to start with that one. Hope. Well, you know what? They're going to give it to us here anyway. So let's just go into, I got a little ahead of myself there. Had the cart before the horse like a good alcoholic. See, it happens all the time. That was me being accountable. I do it here all the time. Inspiring hope and vision. I'm gonna do. It's gonna get there, but before I get into this, a good leader also advocates. I had a phone call with somebody yesterday at a major treatment center here, and they're doing really good stuff. But in the middle of this conversation, they brought up one of the people they were working for, somebody I know that committed Medicaid fraud, and I brought it up. Okay. This is advocation. And they got defensive. Bam. Defensive. Now they got defensive because I pretty much told them they were wrong. I could have done a little bit better on presenting that. I can go for that. Now we did get through this conversation. I don't think it ended the way that he really wanted to. Me either. It was still a little uncomfortable when we ended the conversation because I told him that, and he's like, oh, what we don't do is we don't talk about other companies or organizations around here. And I said, well, the fact that you don't is what's leading to all of this. If we can't have tough conversations, if we can't be responsible for our resources, then maybe you are correct. Maybe you and I should not work together. And I took it away from him. In other words, I said, if you're going to work with them, I ain't hanging out. And, I brought up, these are my principles. These are the morals that I go by, and they work. But if we can't sit down and have it wasn't shit talk. So, and that's the other thing I brought up is I told him, I am telling you facts. Now, if I was telling you how I felt about them, I could understand what you were saying. But the fact of the matter is they committed Medicaid fraud. And the fact is you're supporting them in that. That's fact. Well, Dion's a human being. I make mistakes. That's just fact. See, then emotions kind of get into it. So there's a part of it. Now let's get to the hope. All right. I want to get that off there. Hope as a catalyst. SAMHSA, I'm not a big fan of SAMHSA, emphasizes the hope that a crucial driver for recovery. True leaders in recovery articulate a positive vision for the future, providing encouragement and belief in the possibility of positive change. What I do is I let you know that if I made it, you can fucking make it. I'm going to bring hope, encouragement. When a man is down, when a person in our meeting is down, I will try to look for the progress in what they are going through and provide them with that so they can at least have a little bit of hope. I can't change their attitude, but I can certainly try and give them the tools to change that attitude. Or I could just have a better attitude in front of them. Maybe I start making stupid jokes. Stupid jokes. And then they start laughing. Well, suddenly, now I have that person laughing. And we have a better chance for change. Okay. But even through all of this, well, it's going to get to that here in a second. Articulating and communicating a vision. Now, I had to know my vision first. I tend to confuse a lot of people. Like when I walk in, hey, I'm Dion. I'd like to talk to the outreach person. Okay, who are you with? Well, I'm with me. I didn't come with anybody. No, what company do you represent? I don't represent any company. I run a company called Trudging Together, but I ain't here about that. I'm here because I'm a person in the community that wants to make a change. That doesn't seem to get me as far. So I started using Trudging Together. Well, I'm with Trudging Together. What we do is education. Okay. Then at least they're appeased with, instead of wondering what is this person doing. So I take that off the table for them. All right. A leader in recovery effectively communicates a vision of what can be achieved through recovery, whether it's personal sobriety or broader goals for the recovery community. Right? You got me for a sec. Hi, Amber. Yay, both the Roses are here. The first movie my wife and I ever went and saw, keep in mind this was 1986, War of the Roses. Was the first movie we went to go see together. All right. So demonstrating integrity and authenticity. Whew, a hard word for me today. Hard word. Says here, walking the talk. There we go. The biggest thing that you can do as a leader, and every single one of you are leaders, by the way. I'm just using myself as an example. Every person in AA is a leader that has done the work. You're a leader. Yeah. And there are different types of leaders. There are some leaders that don't talk as loud. There's other leaders that run their mouth like I do. You know, there's all sorts of leaders. Not all leaders have to be out there and in front of the no. No, your actions. It is your actions that are going to tell everything. So quit running your mouth and go do it. Angel says, trippy movie. Talk about War of the Roses here. Michelle says, that's a hell of a date movie to see. It was, yeah. Excuse me. All right. So walking the talk. Quit running your mouth and go do it and then talk about it. All right. Sometimes you'll hear me say, I'll start to talk about something that I'm thinking about doing, and then I stop. I do it all the time, and I apologize for that, by the way. It's because I haven't done it yet. So there's no point in talking about it. Now, I might bring up ideas of things. Hey, we're doing this, and what do you guys think of this, this, and that? But I'm not going to sit here and talk about, like, how am I going to come on and talk to you about true leadership unless I'm doing it? That a true leader will never, ever ask you to do something they have not done themselves or are currently doing. Yep. So walking the talk. See, I used to run my mouth and then do nothing. Now I do action. And what do I have? Fact. The other way, I'm making it up because I don't know what's going to happen during that series. I can plan the plan, but I can't plan the result. Right? True leaders are consistent in their words and actions. I try so hard to stick to that. I got so tired of being contradictory while I was drinking. I was so tired of it. And I did it all the time. Now, if I find myself contradicting myself, I am going to ask myself some questions. Yeah, what do we really think about this? Because we got to have it the right way the next time, right? Acting as role models who embody the principles of recovery as stated by Brene Brown. Yeah, not my favorite. It's all right, but yeah, I'm not going to say anything. Do true leaders say things like that? Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Right? Integrity is choosing courage over comfort. There is comfort in courage, though. You choose what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy. And you choose to practice your values rather than simply professing them. I would agree with Brene Brown on this one. And my mind's looking for the bullshit in it. I can't find it because there isn't any. Good job, Brene. Okay. If it's going to help you and make your life better, yeah, why not? Right? So, and let's read this again. You choose what is right over what is fun, fast, or easy. Yeah, great line. Good job, Brene. Hey, see how we can turn that around? I had to look for the good things, didn't I? All right. All right. Honesty and vulnerability. I'm not necessarily going to go for the vulnerability part. They're correct. But I don't, to me, vulnerable means weak. And no, that's not what they're saying here. But in my mind, that's what happens. Right. So I prefer transparent. Now, in this case, well, vulnerable just means, I'm kind of open to things, but I don't want to be vulnerable because when I get hurt, I mean, it's a deep hurt. So I don't like, I'm not going to go for vulnerable, but I will go for transparent. They're correct. It's just my mind does something weird with that for some reason. Honesty. So ethical leadership involves being honest with others, acknowledging limitations, and being willing to admit mistakes. That I do. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'm trying to think, am I doing that? Because there again, we're not going to do everything 100%. Sometimes it takes, this is what I will say. sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to figure out that I'm wrong, that I was wrong. That does happen quite often. And then when I do figure it out, I take care of it, right? Um, but it's often that, I'll be talking here and I will do or say something wrong and we correct it. You cannot go live for 7.5 years every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Okay. Live. There are no takes here. The closest we come is clips. And Substack makes those for me. There's my plug for Substack. Okay. Substack creates those for me. And I just let it do it. I don't even check them. I just do it. I let God take care of that part. Right. So after all that, there's no way I would have never, ever made a mistake here. Ever. There's no way. That is one of the things that it's one of the things that sets me apart from a lot of other people. They do clips and okay, let's do this take. I get one take here. One. It's all I get. Right. Oh man, we lost Amber. She's got no internet. All right, empathy and compassion. Oops. Empathy and compassion. True leaders listen without judgment and are sensitive to the struggles and emotions of others, which is particularly important in recovery settings where individuals may feel vulnerable or stigmatized. I don't take shit personally like I used to. All right. Now, there was some stuff that happened this last weekend, and I got pretty upset. I got pretty emotional about it. Okay. And I'm going to have to confront somebody I know on something, but this is a hard one to do. All right. So I went to my therapist about it because I'm like, I am not going to do this until I talk to my therapist about it because I had to get my big emotions off the table first. Right. This is empathy and compassion. Am I upset with this person? Not really. Not anymore. I was. I got over it. My main concern is that we can get to the honesty portion and that they stay sober and live a happy, joyful life. It's my only intention. So I took time out of my therapy schedule to go through that because I know what it's like to feel that way. I need to hear other answers. Okay. So I went to a professional. How would you approach this? Is the situation. What do you think? How would you approach it? And we came up with some pretty good ideas, right? So true leaders, I already read that. So empathy. Empathy is a big one. Not sympathy. Sympathy, bad. Bad sympathy. Difference between sympathy and empathy. Empathy means I understand where you're coming from and I have a solution. Sympathy is hand me the Kleenex, I'm going to cry with you. Right. Now you still might cry, but we got to get to that solution. Okay. It goes deeper than that. That's just a quick outline. Sympathy means that you're caught up in their emotions with them and that we're just staying away from the facts. That's when appeasement happens. And we're not going to get to a solution because we're too busy feeling sorry for ourselves. Right. Fostering growth and empowerment, supporting individual development. Now, this is where I get into it with a lot of people. Everybody's recovery is different. Okay. Everybody's recovery is different. Is it? Yeah. Yeah, sure it is. If you want to go hang out at the bar and drink mocktails and find the easier, softer way and that, sure. For sobriety may be different, but when it comes to recovery, there's a certain way to do it. There's a process. There's a process that even Carl Jung, the greatest psychiatrist of almost all time, and we think we're smarter than Dr. Jung. It's like, no, There's a lot of newfangled way. You hear me talk about this a lot. Now, I do support individual development. Absolutely, I do. But I ain't going to go for the crazy shit. Oh, I'm going to test myself and I'm going to go walk down the liquor aisle. Yeah, every idea a newly sober person has is horrible. It's just not a good idea. All my best thoughts got me here. What makes me think that after 30, 60, 90 days, suddenly everything's different? No. Is this individualized? Absolutely it is. But we're all doing the same work. You're going to have different experiences. That is the individual development. Okay. I go to therapy because I'm diagnosed with other mental illnesses. A lot of people in the program are not. See, individualized, right? So when I say AA is the way, people are like, oh, well, you're not supporting individual development. Bullshit, I'm not. It's just your conception of it is already, I don't want to say wrong, it's just discombobulated. I ask things like, what's your success rate? What's success rate? Yeah, stop being a recovery coach. I don't know what mine is. But I know what one is. Leaders in recovery prioritize the well-being and growth of those they lead, providing opportunities for personal and professional development. I do it all the time. I do. How often do you hear me say I'm creating more service work? See, what I do is I find out your passion and then I create service work around that. How's that for supporting people's individual development? How about that? That I will create service work. Why? Because I know if you enjoy it, you'll do even better at it. You'll thrive at it. Then you'll want more. Then it's going to get bigger because I know that. A lot of times people come to me, Dion, I want to do what you do. And they really don't. They just want the little bit of attention I'm getting, but they need to go a different route. Okay. Because I'll sit here and admit it, I like being the center of attention. That's why I have the daily trudge. It's one of the reasons, right? Delegating and building teams. Since Grassroots started a year ago, the goal has been that Dion does nothing some days when he goes to the meeting. Now, at the present moment, I pretty much host and run the timer. To me, that ain't not. I'm there anyway. Timer takes very little effort. Well, I guess I'm doing verifications also. All right. Well, we'll get that. We're gonna have the next group conscious, and I'm gonna give everybody the. In fact, maybe I should just start putting that in the chat. So, delegating. Does that mean telling other people what to do? No. You do this all the time when you chair a meeting. You do it all the time. Would anybody here like to, who here would like to read This Month's Tradition? Who wants to do daily reflection? Who'd like to do the big book? Always pick a big book. Hey, Bob, can you do big book today? Can you? You got it? See, you delegated. Nobody's raising their hand, so you start calling on people. That's delegation. And it comes from a deep empathy because you know who to pick because you've kind of been watching. All right. And building teams, they empower others and trusting them with power and authority to contribute the recovery process. This can involve creating roles within recovery teams or community initiatives, not so much in AA. We're not going to make up stuff. We're not going to make up roles. Well, we might, depends on the meeting. But it's all aimed towards service work. It is all aimed towards helping the newcomer. All right. Promoting self-efficacy. I don't remember what efficacy means. We're going to find out. I'm going to look it up real quick because I know that I need to know this word. I've looked it up before and I forgot. So, EFFICACY. Definition. The ability to produce a desired or intended result. Ah, there we go. Okay. So promoting what the end result might look like by creating opportunities for individuals to overcome challenges and achieving goals. Leaders in recovery help foster a belief in one's ability to affect change and succeed. Now we're really good at this, and why? Why? Because we changed ourselves first. I believe people can change. I was just talking to a friend yesterday, longstanding friend, right? She works in the field, and she called me yesterday and let me know what was going on with her, and that she's like, Dion, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna, Dion, because of my paycheck and circumstances, I'm gonna have to go work at this place, and it's a place I do not promote. Okay, now just because I don't promote them doesn't mean. Now, even I was talking to her about it, and I gave her some heads up on some things that I saw going on over there. But in the end, it's her choice. The main thing in that, at least in that city, she called to tell me. She's like, "I want to tell you before you see it on Facebook." And I'm like, "I'm glad you did, because I would have blocked you, and I wouldn't have blocked her, but I would have kicked her off my friends list." Right. Well, we've been doing a lot of stuff together. But what it came down to was this: hey, I hope you go over there and they have changed. I hope you go over there and I'm wrong. I want to be wrong in this situation. I really do. Because I believe people can change. I did some pretty bad shit, man. And I believe that people can change. Because I did. Michelle, I'll get to your question shortly. I'm just looking for a good place to put it in there. All right. So by creating opportunities, we did that. So next we're going to talk about building supportive and inclusive community. You already know how inclusive I am. I'm all inclusive if you're willing to do the work. There is a little bit of a requirement, but I can still provide unconditional love. But if you're not willing to do the work, it's going to be tough for me to be inclusive, but you're certainly welcome. Right? In grassroots, we look for reasons to say yes. Hey, can I be in this meeting? I'm not sure if I'm an alcoholic or not. Do you have a desire? Yeah. Do you have a desire to quit drinking? Yeah. Have a seat. You're welcome. Absolutely, you're welcome. Oh, but I'm not an alcoholic. Are you willing to? Do you have a desire to not drink anymore? Yeah. Then sit down. It's okay. We're going to look for reasons. We're going to look for reasons for you to feel included. Now, this is a good place for Michelle's question. Michelle asked, do you think we should call on the newcomer in a meeting? Yes. I think it's perfectly legitimate to let them know. Now, sometimes some meetings will put particular times aside in the meeting, like right after halftime for the newcomers, if they would like to share. Now, if we do that, we gotta let people know, because they may not be able to share on the topic. But if they need to get some shit off their chest for today, even do a little bit of dumping, emotionally vomit on the group, yeah, we'll go with it for a minute, sure. Now, when I first got into AA, if you had less than 30 days, you didn't get to say a word. And I understand it, because everything that comes out of an alcoholic's mouth in the beginning is wrong. It is incorrect. And I can tell if you just got a treatment. I can tell your treatment speak. You'll talk about goal setting and shit. I know. I call it treatment speak. But should a newcomer be called on? Well, if we say that they're not allowed to speak, that doesn't really feel inclusive. I didn't agree with that one back then. But we also need to understand that, are they really providing anything to the group? Do they have enough time to bring hope? Because we share our experience, strength, and hope. Do they have the experience? Well, Sure, they have a day or two and what it's like, but really, more than anything, it has to do with letting them know that even though they fucked up, we still love them. That you're here, you're all fucked up, and we love you. I think that's probably the biggest reason. Yeah. Right. They need to feel included. This whole who here is willing to sponsor. I don't know when and how we took a vote on that, but I think it was the worst change made in AA. Aside from calling step 13, you know, sexualizing step 13. Step 13 used to mean you died sober. That means you're hitting on a newcomer. Anyway, so we need creating a culture of collaboration. Another thing that we do at Grassroots, you can come into our group conscious and vote whether that is your home group or not. Some AA group consciouses won't even let you in unless it is your home group. If you have one day, you can bring it up. If you have it, you can vote. Maybe you saw something in the meeting and you have a week. You still get to raise your hand and bring up. Absolutely, you're a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Time is not what's important in the group conscious. All right. So yeah, we're going to create a culture of collaboration. Last group conscious we had, there was one part where we asked people, we say, we're about accountability. So we ask that when you share that you turn on your camera so we can be accountable. It's not required. And then it used to say, we just want you to know that you are welcome here no matter how you look. Now, I added that line in and it was wrong because it was putting the idea of people in I was creating a problem that wasn't there. And somebody said, we should just take that line out. Because I'm like, we need to change it. It clearly is not a good line. And somebody said, we should take it out. I'm like, let's do that. And their face, like, because I took their suggestion at heart right then and there, they're like, oh, holy shit. I helped make a change here. And then they got more involved in the group. Collaboration and creating a culture of it. If you have not been to one of our group consciouses, I challenge you to come check it out. I really do. Our group consciouses are actually enjoyable. And guess who runs them? For now. I'm also the treasurer. I guess I and the more I think about it, there's more stuff I need to get off my plate then. Yeah, absolutely. That's what that means. So true leaders foster an environment where open communication, mutual respect, and shared decision making are encouraged. Yes, we want to hear what you have to say about it because we need to put it in. All right. We embrace diversity. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They actively promote inclusivity, valuing the diverse backgrounds and perspective of individuals in the recovery community. Now, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of you know that when I was 14, I was out of control and I went from living in white suburbia to group homes and hanging around Crips and Bloods. It was quite a culture shock for me. Okay. And I suddenly was the minority. But I'm going to tell you something. In that sense, I'm grateful it happened. Because see, growing up in the neighborhood, they would they were fucking racist and it irritated me. I just couldn't get on board. And they'd want me to get on board. I'm like, you guys make fun of me too. You're bullies. Why would I even believe you? And then I got to find out the culture of all these different races, man. And I thought it was really cool. I did, because white people don't have culture. We're really bad at culture. Right? And it was then that I figured out I have a privilege. Because I am white, I am privileged. Well, that's not cool. I don't want it. I don't want, and to this day, I still don't want white privilege. It makes me fucking uncomfortable. But instead of staying uncomfortable with it, I utilize it to help other people. I don't know why sometimes coming from me that it's different, but it seems to be. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that one, but I embrace diversity. Without it, we're not going to get to the right answer. We need diversity. Advocating is part of diversity. All right. So we embrace it. We actively promote inclusivity, valuing the diverse backgrounds. We need them. And I'll tell you why. Just yesterday. So we're in the meeting, and one gentleman said, hey, you over there, you said exactly how my life went. You've been reading my mail. And these two people have very different backgrounds, but it was the same story. See, it fosters inclusivity. Good stuff. Providing a strong support network. Leaders help build connections and community among individuals in recovery, which is vital for sustained sobriety. Who do you call when you have a question about a treatment center, a sober living, or anything in recovery? Most of you call me. I got one today. I didn't know the treatment center, which means it's probably a good treatment center if they aren't on my radar. Because the ones that end up on my table are usually the ones that are crap. Because people call me and say, Dion, this is what's going on. But nobody ever calls me and says, hey, Dion, this was a great treatment center and da-da-da-da. So if I haven't heard of you, it's actually a good sign because it means you're probably doing the right thing. Good stuff. Yay. Here's the biggest one. Now, if you look over here, it says the Club Trudge, and then there's this little half circle, and it says leadership by example. So leading by example, living a healthy, substance-free life. For those in addiction recovery, demonstrating the benefits of sticking with a recovery plan inspires hope and provides tangible examples for success. We've been talking about that a lot, so I'm not going to recover it. Need a little Taka juice there. Practice self-care. Leaders understand that taking care of their own well-being is essential to effectively supporting others. I'm going to take care of me before I take care of you. I love you, but I'm going to take care of me before I take care of you. All right. That's why I decompress every night, because I get an overload of emotions throughout the day. And I'm letting these emotions go. What am I doing? Nothing. I'm usually playing a video game I've played 1,000,000 times, or I'm watching a TV show or something. But I'm doing something where I don't really need my brain, or I'm distracting my brain because I just need it to work through whatever it's working through. And that's my meditation, and it works for me. Okay. But if I go 2-3 days without decompression, oh man, I will start getting very cranky. And I do a lot, and a lot of the things that I do are actually for me. You think I do this for you? No, you people are an added benefit to what I do. You are a dividend of the Daily Trudge. I do the Daily Trudge for me, and I've been doing it since before COVID hit, so that I could feel like I was a part of something at least. In fact, that's how I met Angel. She saw my video one day and reached out to me. That's how Angel and I became friends, like 5 years ago. Actually, it's more like 6 now. Longer than that. You and I met before COVID, Angel. All right. Being accountable. True leaders take responsibility for their actions and commitments, fostering a culture of accountability that strengthens the recovery process. Yesterday, when I was talking to that friend about going to work at a place to go work at this place, one of the things that I brought up was, hey, now if they would have said, hey, you know what? We committed fraud. There were some misunderstandings. We did it wrong, but we're doing it right now. That's all I ever wanted to hear. That would be enough. It really would. Okay. But true leaders take accountability for their actions. They do not blame other people for an end result of their own actions. Yeah. All right. I didn't know this was going to be 45 minutes long, but I guess it was. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me for that long. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And